Welcome to the Koalafied Gamer Guys podcast. I'm your host, Steve. With me, as always, for every week since August, obviously, is Neil. Surprise, we're back. We decided that, for our loyal fans out there, we'd like to record a special Game of the Year podcast. So before we get going, just to catch you guys up, I've been back at school, so I'm a little busier. Haven't had a lot of time to step away and start like recording podcasts or whatever. So we're gonna try and work it in a little more as we can. And Neil actually became the first astronaut from. So he's just floating up there in the atmosphere, looking down upon us. So he's a little busy too. Neil, how you doing up there?
It's good. It's a lot of weightlessness, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Good thing we have technology now, so I'm like from the International Space Station. I'm just cruising it on.
Cruising it on.
Yeah.
No problem at all. And this Skype call is costing Neil $100 a minute.
It's costing the government money, not me.
But Neil actually, he's had a hardship. Neil, catch everyone up.
So basically, it's pretty simple.
He's an astronaut.
Aside from that, I was in a car accident. Thankfully, it didn't stop me from going into space. But I was in a car accident. I was in the hospital for a little bit.
It was actually a space car accident. Like those moon rovers. Like some alien just blindsided it. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they never have insurance up there. It's the
Never.
worst. But yeah, so I was in the hospital for a bit, recovering. So I was kind of busy doing that for a couple months.
Busy getting better.
Busy getting better, and overall, me and Steve haven't really even been able to play games until very recently. Because you are busy at school. You're not just back to school. You were getting.
No, I'm busy. During the week, I'm putting maybe an hour of game during.
Yeah, if anything, because you're going for like 2 degrees. Two and not. Well, this isn't regular school, kids. This is graduate school. This is different.
School. Never go to grad school, everyone.
You heard it here first.
And also, never get in a car accident.
Also, don't do that.
So we're back. We figured, if you guys have listened to us in the past, you'd probably be interested to see what we thought about the year in general and to hand out the coveted KGG Game of the Year award. So actually, we're not actually going to have one award. We'll each have an award because there's no way we will be able to agree on the first one. But
never.
Actually, between our lists, there are only 2 games that appear on both lists. So of the top 5, which is interesting.
And one of them is in the same place on each.
Yes, which is very interesting. All right, so we're going to start the way we always start. This week in video game release history. This is for the first week in January, I guess. And RuneScape came out January 4th, 2001, so 15 years ago. Neil, did you ever play RuneScape? Because I kind of just dabbled in it for a couple months, not a lot.
Same. It took up my summer, I'll say. It was a very summer where one of my friends got into it, then I got into it, and then a bunch of my friends got into it, so we would all play together. So it was the first like real MMO experience for me, and we all had we all had different classes and were doing different things, so we actually like made a clan that was all varied and different. And and this was before
as you do in MMOs, you do.
But like I didn't know what MMOs were at the time.
No, of course. Which actually I want to ask you: did playing this lead you into being interested in other MMOs, or not really?
Not at all.
Okay.
For other people, it did. For I think my brother, this was like the gateway to World of Warcraft. Which many people consider this the gateway to other MMOs. It's
like marijuana is the gateway drug.
Yeah, exactly.
And World of Warcraft is essentially meth because it ruins life. So yeah,
but it was the cool thing about it, because this was before I played this. I think before I had a cell phone and my friends had cell phones, and this is before texting was a huge thing. Yeah. Which is hard to believe now, and we were still using like AOL or whatever.
Your friends had cell phones. They were what, 9 years old?
Yeah, like I don't know, man. It's weird, but like so we would all sign on to RuneScape every morning and just like talk to each other for the day's plans. Like we'd be like, "Do you want to play like tennis today? Do you want to do this today?" And we used RuneScape to do that. We all knew if we signed on from like 10 to 12, we would all be on there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was a communication tool at one point more than anything else.
Yeah, that's cool. Was this your first foray into online gaming?
I think so, because I think I had dial up during this, man.
Okay.
I don't think I could do online gaming.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think for a lot of people it was, an in-browser MMO is pretty cool.
Oh wait, man, you ever play? I forgot what this is called. I'm just gonna call it Battle Chess, but it definitely wasn't. It was basically an on. No, it was like Tactics Arena online, and it was when RuneScape was big. This game was big, and it was basically a weird version of chess that you got to play against other real people, and you
In-
could like collect these other characters. Like it wasn't like a bishop, but it was like a sorcerer that had a special ability, and you could collect more sorcerers and stuff. And
no, I never played that. I
oh,
actually I played RuneScape for like maybe a month. I played Second Life for like a few months, which is
oh,
similar.
I remember you talking about that.
So that's a strange game, but yeah, I was never really into RuneScape, but I know plenty of people that were, and plenty of people like that started their interest in video games. So it's pretty.
Yeah, because it's a very simple
Yep.
game that you just like. I'm just gonna cut trees
I'd
for
be
like
very,
four
yeah,
hours.
I'd be so interested to go back into it and see what it looks like today. Like I have
It's
no idea.
I think I was getting out of it just when it started to change, and my brother stuck around a little bit longer before he went to World of Warcraft, and he said it started to get a lot worse. Like it used to be, if you were trying to make deals with somebody, you had to just stand outside of a bank and shout at people, and then you'd both shout together, and then you'd walk into like a dark alley somewhere and trade your goods, and it was all like very sketchy, and you never really knew if you were going to get what you wanted to get.
Yeah.
And now they have like a whole like trading center, and it's all very like streamlined and watched, and I don't know, it's a totally different game now, I think, than what it was. But
I'm sure it looks a lot better, and there's.
that's I know that my friend's little brother was playing it for like years, and then he got hacked and he lost like I think it was like 10 million gold or
That's,
something like that. I
that's
and as a reference, I at the most had like 5,000 after like
okay.
playing a summer or something like that.
Interesting.
So that's what happens. You get hacked and then you quit and never play
So
again.
RuneScape, don't play it.
Just skip marijuana, go straight to meth.
Yeah, exactly. World of Warcraft. Um. All right, so we're gonna move on here. That's our. We're not gonna talk about releases because nothing came out. I mean,
Amplitude, if you care.
nothing came out that you care about. We're gonna go right into the game of the year because we want to spend most of our time talking about it. So Neil, do you know like how you'd like to go through this?
I was gonna say let's go one by one. So not
One by one.
so we'll go like five, both
five.
of our fives, then both of our fours.
Okay, so I guess I'll start since I'm the top. So I have a tie for number 5, as does Neil. So it's actually, if you want to look at it this way, it's
Top
our
six.
top 6 game. Yes, but
But
number
five,
5.
is okay.
Yeah. So here we go. My nu- my number 5 is
Dramatic effect.
Hearthstone and Until Dawn. Now, do you want me to explain it first, or do you want to say yours and then we can
No.
both explain?
Explain it. You explain it.
Okay, so these two games I pick. First of all, you look at these games; these are like as opposite games as you could get. But Hearthstone, for sure. I know it did not come out this year, but this is when I started to play it. I started to play it in April. I've played it almost every day since April. It's just like a constant in my life. It's taken over Animal Crossing as the game I take when I'm going to the bathroom. So I play it.
To the point
Yeah.
where you have actually dropped.
Yes, I dropped my phone in the toilet playing Hearthstone. So it's just I love it. It's not just like you could say it's a game from last year, but the 2 expansions that came out this year. I played both of them. Recently, the League of Explorers, which is really awesome. And, I don't know if you knew this, but this new card that came out is really cool because I know you didn't play League of Explorers. It's it's like a legendary card that puts this golden monkey statue into your deck. And if you play the golden monkey statue, every card in your deck and hand gets turned into a legendary for the rest of the game.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like they've been adding like a lot of like really cool, innovative cards recently. And it doesn't get old to me. I like making new decks. The only thing I hate is Arena. I just never play Arena. But I
Yeah.
love making new decks. I love going through ladder. I get to about rank 8 almost every single season now, so it's fun. You know,
Wow,
I
you get like top 10 every time.
yeah, every time now. Like
Oh
I
man.
got good. Like and I just scratches that competitive like quick itch for me. And I just have always been a sucker for things that come with rarity assigned to colors. That's why I love Borderlands so much. Which me and Neil actually are playing slowly, but we're playing through the pre-sequel. Like when we find time. After I know you have something going on at 4, but we should actually play that soon. Um, anyway, so yeah, I love Hearthstone, and I know like it came out last year, but it's a great game. I play it every day, and I would have. It's funny though. I put it in my top 5. I would recommend that game to no one because it's think it's so frustrating. I hate priests and just
Oh God.
but it's a great game. It's fun. And then also Until Dawn, I played over the course of 3 days. I got it for $20 Black Friday. I love that game. I thought it was awesome. I thought the story was really cool. I like just sitting back and going through the world. Neil actually he didn't play it, but he watched it, so it was cool to talk to him about what was going on or whatever, and seeing like how close I was. And I just love like the branchingness of how everyone can die or everyone could live. I love it. It's probably my favorite game experience this year, but I mean like gameplay wise, I could never put in as the top one because it wasn't, it's not like a game as much as it is like a interactive story. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So probably my favorite 12-hour experience of the year was Until Dawn. In the same way that like Telltale games, are people's favorite experiences. I know you have a couple of Telltale-ish games, or one Telltale
Yeah.
and an ish games on there. So I loved it. I loved every second of it. I thought it was awesome. Um, the acting was cool, and I'd love to see more games like that. And it doesn't hurt that I love horror movies like that, like slasher films. I love Halloween and what's his name, Friday the 13th. So like that kind of like fit that bill for me.
Yeah, it was one of those kind of modeled after one of those teen
Yeah,
summer camp slasher movies. Like, oh, let's all go to the cabin and have a party, and there's a
and
killer going around.
and it did that really well too. Like it was so stereotypical, and people were like, "Oh, that's dumb," but they were doing it on purpose because like
Yeah,
they were trying to make like a thriller, and they did it. Like they made a good slash. Like I was telling you, like that would have been good if it was just a movie, but the fact that you were interacting, and you got to be part of the world, made it a lot cooler. Um, but I think it did suffer the same thing that most slasher and horror movies suffer, and that's why I love Halloween. That's my favorite one because it doesn't do this. Is that once the twist happens and you figure out what's going on, it overstays its welcome because like what keeps driving you forward is finding out what's actually going on, and then like it kind of over explains itself after that. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you want a little bit of mystery. So
yeah. I can totally see that, and I mean, more to your point that it's such a narrative-driven game that you can. It's like a
yeah,
movie because that, like you said, I did just watch it. Like I hate horror movies. I'm totally scared of them, but I love horror games.
yeah, I love horror games too. I love them.
And this is and my girlfriend loves horror movies, and so I refuse to go see any horror movie with her, and she always
Yeah,
goes with like her sister or something. But we actually watched this game together. It was kind of like a middle area,
middle ground. Yeah,
and we basically watched it for like 3 days straight as it was coming out because we were so
it's cool.
yeah, it was so because it's so terrifying, but it's so
Yeah,
interesting, and it's
it's a
so
great experience. One thing I will say though that I was happy that I got it at $20 price point, not 60, because I think $60 is a little steep for that to be
yeah.
honest.
Because and people were like, oh well, you can replay it, but so the guy I watched, he actually saved every single person in it.
Nice.
And so I was
And
like,
3 people live,
yeah.
so
But see, but in your game, you might replay it eventually and see to try to save those people. This guy, if he saved all 10 of them,
so
or
why are you going back to
why,
see how?
yeah,
Yeah,
to see the deaths, I guess. But you can just look at like it's kind of like there is replayability, but there isn't. It's one of those
to a
games
point.
that
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
you're there for the story and it's worth experiencing the story, and you got to put your own price tag on how
yep.
much you want to really experience just a story one time. But
Um, yeah. So great game. Excellent game. And that's my number five. My number fives are Hearthstone and Until Dawn at a virtual tie.
Let me ask you one more thing, maybe a little spoilish for Until Dawn, but what was your scariest moment in that game when you were like really petrified?
Petrified.
Well, you may not have been that scared, but you know what I mean.
Um, I think that it wasn't the moment, but it was the experience when you're Mike, I think his name is, and you're in like the mental hospital.
Oh yeah, there's always a mental hospital somewhere.
That always gets me. So that whole like walking through, and then like when they're like reaching out of the cages to try and grab you, that was probably my most tense moment. The jump scares obviously get you, but I mean they're so fleeting that I wouldn't say like one of the jump scares. I think that moment is probably my favorite.
For me, it was. I'm always like, if there's any sort of supernatural thing going on in a horror movie or game, I'm terrified. So that whole like Ouija board and then going to the basement and all that.
It was creepy, yeah.
Like a dollhouse set up. Like,
the
oh my god.
Is really weird.
So terrifying.
And can we just say like the deaths in that game?
Oh my god.
Brutal.
Oh god.
Like the first time, like it's minor spoilers here because you don't know who it is, but the first time I got someone killed, like I was not prepared at all. I just like wasn't thinking, and I like hit a button, and this girl just got her head ripped off, like ripped off, like, and her spine was showing, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I wasn't even thinking about it as a possibility. So it was
See, like, and
but that makes it better too. That like it's like, oh, you screwed up. Well, here's a huge deterrent for why you screwed up. Like now this person like died in the most brutal way.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, the guy I watched, no one died, so I didn't know that.
So did you look?
And
up?
then I looked him up, and I was like, this is brutal. I'm like,
they're
this would have been horrifying. Because like for what you just said, like the first person that died for you, it was brutal, and you were probably terrified for losing any other character and what you were going to have to watch, and then you lost like 7 more or whatever, because I don't know what you did.
Yeah. Oh no, I lost like 4 more. I only came out with 3.
Okay.
All right. So that's my 5. Neil, your 5. Hold on, please. Are go ahead.
God. So I'll say one of them quick was Tales from Borderlands. It's a Telltale game, so we all know what it's like. Decision making, narrative driven, whatever. You don't make that. You make decisions, but I don't think they really matter that much.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It all have you beaten this? I don't want to spoil it for you.
I am 3 chapters in.
At the end, you will see how your choices matter, but even then, I don't think it's going to affect the real ending or anything like that. But I've played I think every Telltale game now.
Okay. You played no, that's not true. You have not played
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, and you have not played Minecraft story modes because that's
also true. But I played Game of Thrones, I've played The Walking Dead, and I've played Tales. So I've played a lot. I think I've watched some of the Minecraft even. But anyways, I think this is the best written one they have. I think it's the best voice acted one they have. I think they even won awards for the voice actors because it's like Troy Baker and Laura Bailey, who are very popular voice actors. A fantastically written game.
It's really funny.
It is the funniest game I think I've ever played. Where
really funny. Loaderbot.
I was going to say Loaderbot is my favorite character in gaming right now.
He's hysterical, and I mean like the Borderlands games have always been funny, but like this game in particular really made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, like like I said, I was in a car accident, so I've just been home. I think I beat this game in 2 days because I was just able to like marathon it like that, and I just didn't want to stop. And so, absolutely amazing game, but everyone kind of knows what it is. So I think that would be my number 6 if we're kind of saying that, but it was very close with my real number 5, which is Ori and the Blind Forest.
Okay.
I think I've talked about this game before long ago on the podcast.
You did.
Amazing game. Basically, the premise is you're like this little spirit creature in a forest, and this big evil bird or whatever like destroys the forest, typical like nature story of like the forest is destroyed, you have to like save it. It's a very pretty game. It has an amazing soundtrack, and it's really challenging. It's a
I
platformer.
know that. Yeah, it's like Super Meat Boy esque.
I'm playing Super Meat Boy right now, and I think it's easier than this game.
Really?
I really do. Here's how hard this game is. So right now, Awesome Games Done Quick is going on, which is that whole speedrunning charity
Hmm.
thing. They do it for a week. Um, Most games that people play in that, they like never die, right? They'll go
Yeah.
through the whole thing in one life. They'll do it. They did Ori and the Blind Forest, and it was actually a race between two speedrunners. They both died 5 or 6 times, and they
Wow.
said that was average for this game. That if you die like 5 times, you're ahead of the curve in the speedrunning community. So that's how difficult this game is. That speedrunners have accepted the fact that they're going to die in this game.
Yeah, because that's so frowned upon.
It's usually like it's a waste of a time. Obviously, it's a waste
Yep.
to die, but usually they don't even save because it's like no, it's unnecessary. I'm just going to go through the whole thing without dying. And I don't know. It was cool to watch them too because they were doing amazing things with it. Obviously, um, but love the game. It is so hard, but it makes you just feel that much better when you get past this section because it had a cool checkpoint system where you have to collect orbs
Okay.
to be able to save. So if you didn't save or saved in a bad place, you're just screwed. It's not like there's a checkpoint place in the middle of a puzzle. You have to place it in the beginning of the puzzle and try to get through the whole thing, or if you place it in the middle and then you get stuck, then that's your own fault.
Yeah.
So it was very memorable. I'm actually kind of playing through it again right now, slowly taking my time with it because
Played this on the PC, right?
yeah. This is I hate the PC, and I actually bought this game for the PC because I wanted to play it so bad, and
Okay.
that's how much I like it that I'm still dusting out my laptop. I don't know how to say that.
Can I like just break in here, just random? That's nothing to do with your list. I just want to ask you about a game, and if you're familiar with it, do you know what Rebel Galaxy is?
No clue.
Okay. It's something I think you'd be interested in. And I realized I was just saying this because I almost went through the same thing of I almost bought it for the PC, but then like it just released on PS4 this week and I had no idea and I'm gonna buy it. It's $20. It's like you're in space as like a freighter and like you like do like freighting runs for people, but the big hook on it is it's like Assassin's Creed boat combat but as a ship, like as in
Oh,
space. Like you're like shooting broadside, like it's all space pirates. Like you're like shooting broadside, like you know how when you line up your cannons or
yeah.
and like all that stuff. So I think you'd enjoy it. I think I'm gonna buy it at some point this weekend and start playing it. It looks really cool. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I'm glad you said that because I'll definitely gonna check
Yeah,
that game out
look
now
into
too.
that. I think like I watched some videos and like and then like people are saying like, oh, it's just like Black Flag's like
Oh
boat
God,
combat.
love
And I know
Black
you love,
Flag.
yeah, I know you love that, and I'm even interested in it because like it looks really cool. It's like a mix between like a western and pirates, but like out in like space, and yeah, it looks awesome.
I'm gonna check that out immediately after this podcast.
Yeah, so something to look into. Yeah, so Ori and the Blind Forest. It's also got like a really cool aesthetic. Like everything's like hand painted, right?
It's got that if you know how like Rayman does with
Yeah,
Ubisoft,
yeah.
they do that. It's like UV art. It
Yeah.
looks like it's hand painted and then brought like 3D.
Speaking of Ubi art, I never played that game.
Child of Light. I know I hate you for it. I've just given up on it. I've given up on you playing that game.
Maybe one day. All right.
So go on with your terrible next choice.
No, this is not terrible. I think a lot of people enjoy this.
They're all
And
wrong.
I'll explain for a reason. My number 4 is this actually works out well. My number 4 is Fallout 4. How good is that drum roll sound? I like the little delay before it every time.
You always
Um,
go is and then it's a space.
Fallout 4. Okay. So, I originally had this at 5, but upon listening to other people talk about it, it reminded me, and it explains a lot of things. A lot of people come into this game, and they're a little, they were disappointed that, you know, it's like, it's buggy like a normal Bethesda game or whatever. But I was listening to the Giant Bomb podcast about 3 weeks ago, and they had Dave Lang on, who produces games now, and he said that, like, if you want a game with the scope that Bethesda makes, where every object is movable and every person is killable, and you know what I mean? Like, if you drop armor in this one room, when you come back, it'll just be there still and all that stuff. Like, it's impossible to test for every single. There's literally infinite amount of possibilities in that world. So what happens is they have like 1,000 game testers. They catch a lot of them, but the biggest game testers they have is when the game finally goes and gets sold. So all those problems that come up, like there's no way they could have found them. So I think that if you want a game that has that much variety and you want a game that has that much like, possibility like Skyrim did and the ones before it, you have to accept that it's buggy in some ways and that, things happen. You just gotta be like, oh well, I'll just like, load my save from 5 minutes ago and get over it. So with that in mind, and if you accept that, Fallout 4 is a great game. And even saying that, I've only encountered one bug, and it was funny and it made me laugh. I think I told you, like, all the cars in my world just, like, started flying into the sun for some reason. Like, every car in the world. Like, I was looking, and, like, as far as my draw distance went, I could just see cars flying. So, like, I had no idea what was happening. But I just, like, reload it, and that never happened again. So, I didn't know what happened. But it's awesome. It's the Fallout. Well, I like it and see. It feels lived in, and I didn't really like Fallout 3 because that felt so barren. But this is the first Bethesda game ever that I have played where you actually have characters that you care about because they actually have things that they say that mean something. Like in Skyrim, Neil, tell me one Skyrim NPC that you even know his name or he said something that, nothing.
I don't like any Bethesda game, so you're not going to get one out of me. But I know what you're talking about.
Nobody, like, there's nobody memorable. And then in this game, they introduced several memorable characters, and they voice acted them really well. So, like, Nick Valentine, for example.
Is that
and
the detective?
Yeah, the detective. Okay. He's awesome. And, like, they have these procedural things of, like, if Nick, I think I explained this to you, like, if Nick Valentine is your follower, and you're, like, doing a random quest, like, he'll be like telling you a story like, oh yeah, like I remember coming here when I was, just starting as a detective and I solved this, and he just tells you this story as you're doing this mission about this murder case, and it's all really interesting because it's all character building. But like the mere fact that if you didn't happen to have him as a follower, you would never hear that story. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it makes that world feel so lived in. Like, well, the choice out of the 60 followers I could have chose, like I happened to bring Nick along with me on this quest. Like I got to hear that really interesting, tidbit about him that makes him feel more real. And that's what makes Fallout 4, I think, a lot better than its predecessors. And part of what made it take that next leap. On top of that, the gunplay is finally passable. Fallout 3's gunplay was terrible. You don't have to use VATS for everything. You can just shoot if you want. And the story actually, again, in the Bethesda game, the story is actually interesting. It actually was the first time that, usually like when you get out of the Bethesda game, like you go into the world and the last thing you do is continue the story. You know what I mean? Like You just want to like explore and see everything. But that wasn't the case in this one. I actually wanted to continue and see what was going on. And I mean, like just like in terms of why it definitely made my list, in terms of moments where I was like, oh shit, or like, wow, like that just happened, I think Fallout 4 ranked higher than any other game. Just like the ridiculous like things that happen and just like fighting people and the dumb weapons that you get that are just so much fun to use. Like the power fist, just like uppercutting like a super mutant and he just like flies 100 feet in the air, like stuff like that. Just is fun. And I had a great time playing it, and I'm still playing it, and that's even coming from me. I hated the settlement building stuff. I don't do it at all. And a lot of people love that, and that was like one of the big things they sold on. But coming with that, the weapon customization is really cool. So that's my Fallout 4 soapbox. By all means, not the best game of the year, but it is. I mean, compared to a lot of our games this year, and this is what this is, Game of the Year, it was great in what it did. And bringing me back to like the world, that I love Bethesda open worlds because you get lost in them. So, also. Yeah.
Go on.
Music. Excellent music. Like the old time music they put in that game is fantastic. And also the dog meat. I mean,
and there's a dog. There's always if there's a dog.
When there's a dog in the game, that's the only reason I played Call of Duty Ghosts. Like there's a dog in that game. So it's a great dog.
Yeah.
Neil, if you build the dog a doghouse, he uses it. Just think about that for a second. Game of the year.
So, I wish I played Fallout 4 so I would have more credibility when I hate it, because I haven't played it, so people are like, oh, well, you haven't really played it, so you don't really know it. everything you say, I understand. Um, I understand. I don't get mad at bugs as much. Like there are people who are like, "Oh, this game has bugs. I will never play it." I'm like, I get past it. I mean, obviously, we'll get to it later. The Witcher has bugs because it's the same exact premise. When you create a huge world, you can't test it all. It's just
You
not
can't. No.
possible.
I get a little like people are like, oh, like Fallout 4 is annoying because like my companion like clips through a wall. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
no,
people clipping through a wall, like, okay, it takes you out of the moment for a little bit of like you immersing yourself in the world, but it's really in the grand scheme of things not a big deal.
no.
You know what I mean?
Here's what I care about. I care about when the game releases, how quickly the developers attack those bugs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Fallout 4 did that well or Bethesda did that. I just know.
They they've released one patch to date, and what they usually do is they find like the biggest game breaking bugs that people have like, and they prioritize those,
Yeah,
and then like, over the next couple months you'll see more and more come out. So
yeah, and I understand that because I know people with The Witcher again. When it came out, now there are colorblind settings, which is great
yeah,
for me. They
yeah,
added a whole new way of movement that you can
okay.
toggle on and off. They have all these new toggles that they've added.
Hmm.
They added almost all this new stuff, and so like I'm okay with that. So I'm like, all right, it's one thing if a developer releases a buggy game and just doesn't care and never goes back to it, and it's another thing if they go, okay, we're going to listen to the community and we're going to do our best to fix it.
And the worst part of all this is when they release a buggy game, and then before they fix the bugs, they release DLC.
Yeah.
That is the worst. That's the worst of any developer. You can't do that. But go on.
Yeah, so Fallout 4, I mean, I was watching it. Like, I watch a lot of Let's Plays. I was watching it. I think the world looks bare, but I mean, I wasn't as deep into it as other people, but and I get it. I get it's like,
It is bare, like
it's after a
by its
nuclear thing.
nature. By
Yeah,
its
yeah,
nature, it's bare, and compared to Elder Scrolls games, it's bare. That's why I like Elder Scrolls games so much better, just because it's.
yeah. But I
I
mean,
think
that's what Fallout
it's
is.
more it's more fun to be in like a a fantasy world than just like a destroyed world where there's not that stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
and I
that,
understand that.
I know what you mean.
Um, there seem to be a lot of loading times. Is that
Yeah,
which they
without
were quick. They were super
yeah.
fast. Like I'm not going to be like,
The
oh, you
first load is really long, but after that, I can't. Like, there are loading times, but I think that they are like in the longest being a minute, and I think that I mean, unless you're like going in and out of buildings, like it's like 2 hours of gameplay just out in the world, then like a minute to get into a building, then you're in that building for like 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I'm also a person that doesn't really care about
You
loading
get pissed
times.
off about loading times. I really like it. I don't get that either. Like, okay, like I'll run to the bathroom, like
Yeah,
like,
but some people do, and I mean, if it happens a lot,
oh yeah, like
I would.
except I hear Just Cause 3 really suffers from that. In that game's a game where you're supposed to like have a lot of fun, like you blow shit up, and sometimes you blow yourself up, and the load to get back in sometimes is like 3 minutes. That's
Yeah,
terrible. Because
yeah,
like
that's
I
awful. I mean, again, a lot of these like I'm gonna compare Fallout to The Witcher a lot because
guess you played that
I played that. It's another big open world game. The Witcher you load it once and then it's loaded, but that one time load
is long.
is crazy long, which I get. And even that was Uncharted 2, if you remember. It
Yeah,
loaded once and then you
remember
could
Bloodborne had a loading problem too.
Bloodborne had a loading problem, but like Uncharted 2 and I think even Last of Us, it loaded once and then that was it. You could play the entire campaign
Yeah.
without another load.
What's funny though is the Bloodborne before they updated it. Remember, it was just like the screen that said Bloodborne, so you would just like think about what you've done to die, and
You just stare. They didn't like now they offer tips. They'll be like,
yeah,
here's what this piece of equipment does. Here's what this item does. It used to just be a black screen and you just stare at your reflection of like your failure.
and you'd be like, oh god, I really screwed up. I left so many souls out there, or blood
Oh my
echoes.
god, that was a great game. All right, so I'll move on to my number 4. I'll leave Fallout alone. Maybe I'll play it someday so I can get more mad at it. But my number 4 is Life is Strange. I've talked about that a lot on these
Funny
podcasts.
enough, a game I haven't played. So you haven't played my four, I haven't played your four.
Ah, what a coincidence. Um,
Oh, hold on. What was your four?
Life is Strange.
Oh, no, nice. How suspenseful. You went fast for me.
I'm sorry, I forgot all about the drum roll. It made the whole thing.
That's
So
actually me over here with a snare drum.
you got a little
All right, go ahead.
You don't see our setups, but like I got kind of the technology I'm recording and everything. Steve's got all the sound effects, and it's just
Yeah,
he's surrounded by little toys and
yeah.
gadgets.
Sound effects. Remember when we did
The game
uh
show.
yeah, what name that video game music? That was great. All right, go
So
on.
Life is strange. I've talked about it a lot, so I won't on this podcast, so I won't go super in depth about it. I don't know if the last episode came out. I think it came out after we took the hiatus on these podcasts. This game gets so dark. Um, it starts. I've said this before. Like it starts as like you're this teenage girl at this high school, and like these popular kids are making fun of you. And I was like, okay, it's gonna be this whole thing. You reunite with your friend who has like she's all into like marijuana and all this dirty stuff,
Very
and she dyed
shitty.
her hair blue, and like she's all this like punk, and you're this cute like. So it was that whole typical thing. Like her stepfather's mean to her. You used to be friends, and then it got so dark where I mean like serial killer tying you to a chair,
Jesus.
like torturing you, killing kids, burying them, you finding their body.
And
Like
you like this game?
it gets so dark, and I never expected it. It's amazing. You're trying to solve this murder, and like if you warn a person or not, that you'll find them later that they ended up dying. There's all this twisted. There's this one kid that like was trying to become like this perfect photographer, and he liked to like capture pain, so he would kidnap girls and like do these horror. Like it got so dark, and I never saw it coming. And it is a fantastic game if you were like into kind of like creepiness of it all. It doesn't start that way at all. It starts like a little indie friendship slice of life thing, and then it gets so dark to the point where there is actually like hundreds of people can die based off your decision.
Jesus.
It is a strange life, Steve. I'll say it that way. But
Life
yeah,
life is strange.
and then aesthetic, music, all that stuff. It's very cool. It plays like a telltale game, making decisions. It has a very artsy style because the game is all about being a photographer. So like, there's all these like, but it's all like heavy brushstrokes, watercolor. It's a very cool game. One of my favorite and most memorable of this year. I absolutely loved it. I know that down the road I'll probably end up playing it again, but yeah. So that's my number four. I guess the biggest issues with it is it can be kind of like it can be very cheesy. They say the word hella a lot, like oh this is hella cool, and it's just like
It's based in California.
oh I forgot where they are.
That's
Someplace
that's
completely
a
random.
big word in California.
It is. It's just a very very cheesy, over the top game, but it's kind of does that on purpose. And then it gets dark. Like there's like euthanasia and stuff. And there's like people being like paralyzed for life. It gets so dark, Steve. I'm not kidding.
Jesus Christ.
It's a great game. It starts very happy, and then you just want to kill yourself after because it's just so horrible.
So that's your fourth favorite game of the year.
Yep.
Interesting. Um.
Number
So that's on that happy note. Let's move on to number three, which is Rocket League. And actually, we can just say Niels is Rocket League too, so we can just talk about this together.
What a fantastic game.
Both of our number threes are Rocket League. Yeah, that game's awesome. That game is so good. Uh,
We played the beta, and we
yep,
absolutely loved it. We were gonna buy this game day one, and then it was free, so it
free.
was even better.
Yep. And like it had a lot of staying power, and just the fact that like I think that the months that I played the most Rocket League were November and December. You know what I mean? And like I played it intermittently, like between when it came out in July and then. So
Yeah, I mean, I constantly play this game. I play it at least once a week still because my brothers, it's their favorite game too, and it's a great party game.
that's the thing too. Like my friends come over now and they want to play Rocket League. Like
Yeah,
it's
because
great because it's got split screen. Like the three of us can just sit on the couch
yeah,
and play Rocket League online against three people.
it's a great split screen game. It's simple enough that even like your real non gamer friends, like my friends, come over too and want to play it. They're not huge gamers, but they can get the controls down well enough and have fun with it. It's it's just a great game.
It is. It's awesome.
It's a game that when people like my friend just got a PS4 and she's playing Destiny and Battlefront, which are like two terrible games, and
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like at some point we should say like what our most disappointing game is, but I'll just say right now, Star Wars Battlefront.
I'll have
Woof.
to think on that. I'll try to think by some point, just get it by the end of the podcast. But like, this is the game that as soon as someone says, "Oh yeah, I got PS4," I'm like, you have to get Rocket League. You will not be disappointed. It
Mhm.
is a game that you will play for months. You will play with your friends, local co-op. You'll play. You'll get so intense against other people online because you just passive aggressiveness, Steve, is probably the worst thing. And this game suffers from it. It's a typical a chat box with predetermined dialogues, and they are only used in the worst way possible. And I wish you could mute the chat; it would make the game a lot better. But it's still a great game. You just understand you're gonna get mad at a lot of people.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that game is great, and it's just like it's one of those games that's like easy to pick up but hard to master. And those games have always resonated with me because I want to get better at them, you know. So, um, yeah, like, it's just fun. Talking about it now, like I want to play Rocket League. You know what I mean? Like it just
Yeah,
like
it
it's so good, and
we
they
have,
do a good job of giving you more reasons to play, like to like because like around holidays to like unlock special like toppers and like all the stuff that you can get. So like they had Halloween stuff, they had Christmas stuff. So like like it
yeah,
gives you reasons to sign on to unlock everything. And me and Neil actually just both recently platinumed it.
yeah.
So
That's how much we like it, and
yep.
it's we have before we were playing. I forgot what game it was. It was probably Borderlands or something. No, I think it was Call of Duty, and we both got like kind of upset. And we are like, why don't we just play Rocket League?
Yeah,
And the last hour, we just
we
had
were
fun
having like
playing Rocket
you're
League.
having a terrible time playing Black Ops 3, and I actually really like Black Ops 3, but we were just not playing well at all, and we were just like let's just like chill out and play Rocket League, and it's just fun. It's
It,
soothing.
it's the best part of video games when you say it's just a fun game to play.
Yep.
You can have fun.
It's crazy because that's what video games should be, you know?
Yeah, I mean, here I am talking about Life is Strange and all these terrible things happening, and you should play this game. But Rocket League is really just a lot of fun, and if you constantly like are looking for a game to play with like your friends coming over, and there's only like single player games you have to take turns with, Rocket League is a great game. And they keep adding stuff, like Steve was saying, and they're gonna add like new arenas, and they're gonna get kind of like crazy with it. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
Good game. Very good game. But we must move on to a game on my list, which is a little controversial because it definitely did not originally come out this year.
Absolutely not.
So, my number 2 game of 2015 is. I couldn't hit the pause button. Majora's Mask 3D. I loved every second of Majora's Mask 3D, and it's coming from someone who didn't really like Ocarina of Time that much. And it was just, for me, it was the environment, just like the impending sense of doom, and like the fact that everything you did felt like it really mattered, and just like the variety of places you go, like up to the mountain, and there's those weird Gorgons or whatever their names are. I haven't played it since February.
Gorons?
Gorons, yeah. I haven't played since
Oh my
February.
god, what is wrong with you?
Gorons, and
You
then
can't be a Zelda fan.
my bad. And it was great. And playing it on the 3DS it was great. That inventory management on the bottom of the screen was awesome. It was just so much fun. And just like, I loved the aesthetic and the Skull Kid and all the different masks and how you'd have to swap them out. That's the reason that a lot of people say the 3DS is now like the way to play it. It's because you're constantly changing masks, and it's really easy because you just hotkey them to the touchscreen. You just touch them, and like he pops it on, which is nice because you don't have to fool around in inventories. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's not worth talking about at length because I talked about it on this podcast when I was playing it, and it's been out forever. But I just really love that game. I had never played it before, and I now consider it within my top 10 games of all time, as well as my number 1, obviously. So I couldn't get enough of it. But
Yeah. I played this game when it came out on N64. I had to borrow. I think we talk about this random person, Douglas, that we always mention on the podcast. That
oh,
I had.
I love Doug.
I had to take his N64 expansion. You remember how they had that little
Yeah,
expansion thing? I had to take that from him and put it in my 64, and I played it. I loved it. This was after playing Ocarina of Time, And the way it was sold, or either I was really young and the way I took it, was this was supposed to be a direct sequel.
Yeah.
So I was really expecting to be in the same Hyrule, the same like I that's what I wanted. So I was a little disappointed, but then I played it. I think it was during college again, where I was roommates with Doug, and he played it again, and I was messing around with it, and it is really an amazing game. I still like Ocarina of Time the most. I think that is my favorite game of all time forever. I've played it a few times, and it never. I keep thinking, as a child, I'm gonna. It's like, oh no, this was so much better when I was a kid. It's not good anymore, but I still love it. But Majora's Mask, it was so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole thought of the timeline of events that you had to know that people followed and you could like plan around it. All the masks. It was basically a bunch of side quests before side quests were really a thing,
Yeah.
and just fun.
It's so good. Just
great
like, and
game.
like the characters that you meet are so memorable. And like, the dump, like the milk bar, like what the hell is that, And like all that, like this the so cool. And just seeing that you're playing the same 3 days over and over again, but it's like a Metrovania in the way that like as you play the days over and over again, because you have more things in your inventory that you can do more things during
Yeah.
the days, and you can do the days faster. It's and playing the song, and like, oh, the music, man, like the Song of Healing. And oh,
Yeah, well, see, and that's and you did you beat Ocarina of Time?
I did.
Okay, so like a lot of that stuff, it was cool to see because they repurposed characters, of course, but they added on them so much more. Like the milk bar, like exactly what you said. Milk was one of the best things to drink in Ocarina of Time. It was all Lon Lon Ranch, and it just you always
Yep.
wanted to have a glass, unless if you had a fairy, you wanted like a glass of milk with you. And so when they made the milk bar, and then you could like go on stage when you unlocked all the masks and play a song together with your counterparts, and
Yep.
just the fact that they changed the ocarina into the four different instruments or whatever, the three different instruments, however many there were.
Yeah. That's oh man.
Like it's just a really creative game. It's really fun. The world is really big, and then like the best part is like you said, it's 3 days. It sounds like it would be repetitive or boring, but everything feels new. Go
Every
spend.
time you do the 3 days, it feels new.
You'll like. I mean, the town will feel kind of like the same at times, but you'll be like, you'll do something on day one, and then like you'll do a couple temples, and you'll come back and you'll be like, oh, you know what? That old person over there. I don't know what they're doing. I'm gonna spend time with them, and then you like the next 3 days, it's all about that person.
It's
You're trying.
actually there's this it's funny because there's this Japanese theory that you just live the same life over and over again, and that every time you come into it, subconsciously you bring the skills that you learned in your last life to become a better person, and that's what Majora's Mask was kind of based on. And
Oh,
that is so it's so implemented in the game that like the first time you're in that game and it's 3 days, you're like, I can't do anything in 3 days, like it's not enough time.
yeah.
But at the end, like I can do everything in 3 days because I have all these tools and I know where to go and all that, and it's such a cool concept.
Yeah, it like exactly like the first 3 days you were so overwhelmed you barely do anything. You like
No,
looking up
yeah,
you're
like,
looking up an
but
observatory
then you
and
learn that you can slow time and that you can jump to different times. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and then and like you're right, like by the like and it's so cool because I remember I'd be like, okay, let's rewind time back to day one. And I'd be like, all right, checklist, let's go, and I'd immediately set out
and you
and,
just yeah,
and
it's like
start
a
going.
mission. You're on a mission, man. That's a great game.
Yeah, that's a great game.
Um,
We can talk
sure.
about my number two and kind of
Yeah,
and we'll roll into your number one together.
Yeah. Okay. So Neil's number two is,
Bloodborne.
and my number one is Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth One. No, it's Bloodborne.
Oh, what a shock! We've talked about this game a ton because it took our lives over for a
Yeah,
very
for
long
sure.
period of time. I think I don't know how long a period of time was. It was. We don't like Dark Souls.
No,
You've tried. You even tried after Bloodborne to play Dark Souls 2.
Demons. Yeah, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2. I don't know.
I don't
didn't
know.
like.
And like it's Bloodborne is just better. I'm sorry, all you Dark Souls fans out there. Bloodborne's just better in every way.
It's the combat. It's so smooth. It's ruined me in third-person action games, which we'll get to in a little bit. But
So
it's ruined me. Like if it doesn't feel like Bloodborne, and like it just doesn't mean anything to me.
it is Bloodborne has near perfect combat. I mean, I wish the people could drink potions or stab themselves a little bit faster or whatever because they're very
Yeah.
slow on that. But I mean, that's like the most nitpickiest thing. It is the fact that you could have different build class because it is an RPG, even though you think of it as like an action game. You
Yeah.
level up and you get stats, and you hear about people um, doing these crazy things where they make like an all long range class with a spear that can also shoot, and
Hmm.
like in a couple bullets they can take down a boss. But everything else is difficult for them, and like there's flamethrowers, and there's all this stuff I didn't even know about. And that's part of why I love the game so much. Is it's not just the combat, which is amazing. It's that the
Yeah.
world, I barely understand it, and I spent maybe even weeks,
Yes.
month just online reading. I downloaded like 100-page document explaining the world that some guy wrote as his thesis.
It's a really cool exercise in world building where they don't tell you anything and you gotta like figure it out. You know what I mean? But not in a bad way like Destiny did, in a good way, in that you're interested in it, and you want to find out more about the lore. So
Yeah, like Destiny is like they don't give you enough to even figure it out, or when you do, it's like, oh, is that it? This is like it gets so dark, and there's so much to uncover and unwrap, and there's all these religions to it, and there's like a whole population that was starting to decline, and there's this whole like there's like the harvest or whatever, where like
yeah.
every year they have to go around and kill all these people that become monsters, and it's so dark and it's creepy and it's great.
And just the payoff of beating that boss. You know what I mean?
Remember, you hated this game for like 6 hours
I
until you
did.
beat the
I
first
bought it.
boss.
I bought it. I thought it was a mistake. I was like, I shouldn't have bought this game. I'll never like it. I knew that this game wasn't for me. And then Neil was watching me.
Oh yeah,
And
it was.
he's like, yeah, like I want to just like see it. So can you play it? And I was like, if he didn't say that, I might have just returned it and never played it. But I was like, yeah. So I go in and I'm like, oh, you're gonna watch me get destroyed by the cleric beast. And I went in and I just beat the cleric beast, and I just was on like such a high, and then it clicked, and then it was like, you're not supposed to just dive in and try and beat everything. That's not the way you do it. You go through runs just to get blood echoes, just to get better experience, and just to learn what's going on out there. And then you go into the boss, and you should never expect to beat the boss the first time. Like the first time you go into a boss, it's just like diving in and being like, all right, let's see what it has so that I'm prepared for the second time. You know what I mean? Like, and just learning that process, like it takes you out of the way that you've played video games for the last like 10 years and that everything's just handed to you and it's easy, and it makes you like unlearn all those terrible habits and get really good habits on how you should approach the game. And it was just it was awesome. It was an amazing experience. It's in the top 5 games that I've ever played. I love it, every second of it. And just it brought me back to being a kid when I played games and that we would just talk about bosses. Remember, like we talk
Yeah.
about this game like for as long as we played it. Like we'd be playing for 4 hours, but 4 hours when we were both at work, we'd be like, oh man, like I was facing this and like I faced this and I figured out how you beat that, and like it like yeah, I hadn't done that in video games in a long time, except when I was a kid and like you didn't go online to find these things. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it is. Like you said, it's such a unique. I guess not to the Souls fans, but it's such a unique game in that you go on scouting runs. It's the one game I know that you'd be like, I expect to die
yep,
on this boss encounter, and that's okay. I'm not trying to beat him. I'm not bad if I die. It's like you go in and like you mess around with it. You don't waste any of your items. You like jump around like, all right, what is this long range attacks? You make this whole plan, and it's not like, oh, I'm going through this level. Here's the boss. Let's beat it. What's the next level? It's like you get to the boss, and it's a whole nother
yep.
planning stage of just
And
like testing him out and
just like being in that world and just like you're so immersed in it, and that like I would remember going on runs through areas and just like not looking away from the screen for like 2 hours and just being so concentrated on what I needed to do to not die and to get through to the next lantern or whatever. So
yeah. So for people, if people don't know how this game works, it's basically there's a lantern you save at, and you go to a safe zone, and until you get to the next lantern, you are not safe. And
no,
so the first time you enter into a new world, it was terrifying. You had no idea what was hiding behind corners because they did that a lot. There'd be people crouching in corners that would come out at you. And like we were always so terrified of like, and it's so tense, and it could be an hour, hour and a half until you get to your next safe zone. And the more people you kill, the more experience you get, but you only get it if you get to that next safe zone. So it's the most intense ride of being safe and like, do you double all the way back, or do you just keep pushing forward?
Yeah, to try and get to the next one that
Oh
you
my
don't
god.
even know where it is, or you don't even know what you could encounter on your way.
Yeah.
Like there were times that you'd be looking for the next lamp and you just stumble into a boss fight.
I remember going in the church district. So this is after you fight like a bunch of people and some beast, but it's nothing serious. And you step into this church district and you walk up a couple of stairs and this giant, literally a giant, towering at least like 20 feet tall, if you stacked your character like 3 times
Yeah,
with an axe, just dragging an axe, walks across from you and just stops and turns his head at you, and it was terrifying.
terrifying.
It was amazing, and then it's just you. By the end of the game, we were beating bosses second or third try. Like I
Yeah,
remember, like
you get good. You
you
know.
get good, and it's like I remember. I think it's called Arbitus or whatever underneath the church or whatever.
Okay.
With it was one of the optional bosses. It was like a worm thing with like wings or whatever. I think you beat it your first try.
Yes,
You
I
beat it
did.
your first try. I almost beat it my first try, and then I couldn't beat it for a while. And then I finally beat it, and I looked it up, and it's considered one of the hardest bosses in the game.
Yeah, I beat
And
it on my first try. I
and you
remember.
didn't even know. Like you were like, oh, is that supposed to be hard? I was unaware that that was like a difficult boss because you got so good at the game
Yeah.
that you started to get to that point where you were beating bosses on the first try.
You know what's funny though, Neil? That I beat the Canehurst guy and you didn't.
So I know I've told this story a lot, but basically there was a boss. This was right before I was about to beat
It's
the
the
final
last
boss,
optional boss.
and it was like we were at the point
We
where
were both we were at the point where we could both finish the game by fighting the final guy, but like we both only had this one boss. So I said that my personal thing was I was going to try and beat every boss in the game. So I played the current Canehurst guy for like 4 hours and I finally beat him. But Neil had different ideas.
so I mean I was at the end of the game. I think I got there before you. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, you did.
I stayed at the end, and I basically what I did is you can go online with other people and help them fight a boss. I was just helping other people beat the final boss. It's like I did that for like a good few hours because I was learning the boss through their fights, and I was helping them. I figured they were stuck at the end of the game. I wanted to help them beat it, and then so we got to the point where I think it was determined that we were both going to beat that game tonight, and we were going to move on to something else. I forgot what the next game was, but we were like, I think for me it was The Witcher actually. I was like, this is going to be the last time we play Bloodborne for a while. So I knew I wanted to beat the game that night, but you beat this other boss. I'm like, I'm going to try to beat this other boss. I fought him 3 times. I came very close the first time. I came very close the second time. I'm talking like 2 or 3 more hits, he would have been down. And the third time, I fell off the roof before getting to him. And I just died immediately. And I just determined it wasn't worth going back. I was like, I just don't care. I want to beat the final boss. And I beat the final boss in like 2 or 3 tries. And then the game ended, and Steve has never let me forget that I didn't beat that Canehurst
Nope.
boss.
I beat all the bosses in Bloodborne. You beat everyone but the Canehurst guy.
And it wasn't like one more fight, I probably would have had him. If I didn't
Yeah,
fall off that roof,
I don't
I probably
understand
would
why
have
you
had him.
didn't do it.
I just wanted to beat the game. I think it was like really late. I think you already beat it. I just wanted to finish it. I don't know. I just wanted to like I was officially like ready to end the game. And so I did. I ended it, and if you could like beat the final boss and still hang around in your game, I would have gone back and beat him. But it kicks
Yeah,
you
of
back to
course.
the beginning. So
But it does. So, all right. Well, you guys know we love Bloodborne. That game is fantastic in every single way.
and we were gonna play the expansion until we learned that you have to you have to get to Vecca Amelia or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the third boss in the game or something like that. But it would probably be 10 hours of gameplay to get to her at least.
Well, I have to go back into it because I did beat Father G my second time through. So I'm actually pretty close to getting to
Oh,
that point.
see, I just beat Father G too. I'm in the church district.
Oh,
So
so
we're
maybe,
we're probably like around the same point. We
Yeah.
could probably get there and beat it together and join the DLC. But the other problem with the DLC is we've heard apparently the final boss is like you
No,
need to level up.
the first boss is impossible apparently.
Oh, I thought it was the final one. So the first boss is like, so someone I know played it, and I think I'm forgetting the levels, but I think they said they were level 40 or maybe 50 going into the fight, and they didn't beat it until they were level 95.
Wow.
So like he said that's how much. Maybe he's not good. I don't know. Maybe he that's. I can't say, but I just know that that's how tough this boss is supposed to be. But we'll play it eventually because we love this game so much.
We will. But now that's my number one. Your number one is
Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So, so Steve hates this game.
I hate it with every fiber of my being, and it's not an irrational hate like Neil, who has never played Fallout 4. I played 12 hours of this game, and I couldn't stand it. Go on.
All right, every Bethesda game has issues. All right,
Yes,
Fallout
but
4,
I'm saying the difference is I've actually played 12
you
hours of
have.
this game, but you've never played Fallout 4. But go on.
You have. And that is fair. Steve gave it the good old try, the college try, and he
I
really
tried. It's not, I bought it. I tried to like it. I just did not like it.
yeah, and it's not like he played like an hour. He
I
went
went
pretty
far.
far. He did. And so I give that to him. And I even was like, all right, if you don't like it by now, you're
You're
not.
not gonna like it. Yeah, so I sold it.
Yeah. So I love this game. I love this game enough where I've beaten it. I put like a ton of hours into it. I'm talking like at least 60, 70 into one playthrough. I got the expansion, played that. I started New Game Plus, and I'm currently playing through that all over again. I bought 3 of the books that this game is based off of, and I've read all 3 of those books. I love this game. This game, I think, is as perfect as games can get, and every game has to be like this game from now on.
No, if
This
every
game
if every
has
game is like The
ruined
Witcher
other
3,
games for me.
if every game is like The Witcher 3, I will not play video games anymore.
So, I played Dragon's Age, whatever, Origins, Inquisition, whatever the last one is. I think it's Inquisition. I love that game. After playing The Witcher, I hate that game. It has just shown me how bad that game actually is. How bad, what is it, it's the people who make Mass Effect. It's EA and someone. But they, like, make a very scripted, like, they even have symbols next to the choices. BioWare. They even have symbols next to the choices with, like, happy faces or angry faces to show you what is a good remark, a good thing to say, or a bad thing to say. The Witcher can be it's such a gray, morally gray game where you would just like you will say something and then 2 hours later that will come back to get you. Like I was walking this was just a simple I was walking through a town and this priest just called me out and he was like, "Oh, you're like you hunt beasts or whatever, you're a terrible person." And I basically just I could walk away or say something back to him. And I said I like called him out. He was like, "Oh, you're a priest, you don't do anything or whatever." And then I walked away. And then in the middle of another quest, like 5 hours later, I get ambushed by all these thugs. And they're just like, "Remember that time you said this thing to the priest? Well, he hired us to kill you." And I was like, "Okay." So I had to like fight these guys off that would never have happened if I just walked away earlier. And things like that pop up all the time. Like you were saying in Fallout how you brought the detective with you on a mission, and he happened to bring up all this backstory. If you do certain missions in a certain order, it affects how the game plays out to you. If you have a relation, like obviously you have sex with people in this game, that's the one drive Steve had in playing this game. He just wanted to get to that point where he could do that, and then he stopped playing, and I think that's actually what happened. You can actually ruin relationships and friendships with other people that would help you out later in the game. And there's all these decisions and choices. But the thing that Steve hates the most, and what I really like, is the combat. And Steve is wrong, obviously, like he always is.
No, this game's combat is terrible.
It's
Terrible.
It's great. So I understand that it's very slow and it can be kind of. It's not Bloodborne. Let's just say right now it's not Bloodborne. But you have to be very methodical about your fights. If you get surrounded by 4 people, you could die. So like for example, that happened to me. I got ambushed again because I said the wrong thing. And so I think there was actually 5 people. And so I ran to a skinny doorway. So they all had to funnel into that doorway, and I had a spell that could cast like a line of fire into it, so I could set them all on fire. And so that's so much better than just other games. Like I always compare it to like, I don't know, like Batman or something, where like you have these thugs and you can just hit the square button a lot and oh, this guy's attacking, hit the triangle button to counter. Now like you can't counter every attack in The Witcher. Certain weapons you can counter, certain ones you can't, because that's just how the game is. Like you can't counter a spear. It doesn't really make sense if they're jabbing at you, but whatever. And so you start to get this play style. And so for me, I'm like I do all quick attacks because I built my armor. I crafted my own armor to go along with that play style, and it increases my critical hit damage. So you have to like kind of put all the pieces together, and you can't just randomly be like, "Oh, that gives me the most health. I want that." You have to like, "All right, that doesn't give me a lot of health, but that will make this spell I have more powerful." So I like the way it connects there. I do like the combat. I think the world is the best world I've ever seen in video games, and I will die by that remark because it is so big and vast, and there are some bugs. Obviously, I'm not going to say if you look up Witcher and his horse is all over the place. It flies through the sky half the time. Um, but it is the best crafted world, and it's huge. And there's no once you load in an area, like that's it. You're loaded. Um, it can be so different from like the swamplands to like high mountains. It's like Skyrim essentially, but even more variation to it, I would say. And so I don't know. The Witcher 3, I tell people that is the game they must own if they like RPGs and stories and just anything. It's got me enough where I've bought real books to read about it. So that's how obsessed I am with it. But I know Steve hates it more than anything.
Hate it.
But he's
Wrong
like
you
always.
know what was my breaking point? I did that one mission with
The Baron.
no, the Baron, that was fine, but the girl, like the sorcerer, I forget her name. She wears like the really,
Kira, whatever.
yeah, the really low cut blue dress.
Yeah, that's like every sorceress is that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did that, and like you go into like a cave or whatever, and you do like this battle or whatever. And
Yeah.
I said to you, and I was like, oh, like I'm starting to like it. Like this is like a better mission. And you said, well, that's like the only kind of that mission in the game. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Like,
Yeah. So I mean
that was like the only mission I liked, and it was a one-off, and like they were never gonna do anything like that again. I was like, okay, well, never.
I mean, they have some stuff like it, but I mean, it's not. I think the way you described it that you liked it is because it was like Skyrim, where you found a mission, you had to go into a dungeon, you had to explore the dungeon, you got like loot, and then you got out.
Yes, because like my problem was I felt too much like especially in the Bloody Baron quest, I felt like I was just running around to do nothing. Like I was just running around to talk to someone and the conversation I wasn't interested in. And then I just run back and tell them what they said, and then this guy would be like, "Oh man, that's interesting." And like I wasn't actually
Is that not Fallout 4?
No, in Fallout
Yes,
4
yes,
on
it
your way,
is.
you're actually doing something.
No.
You're actually attacking people. I wasn't
No.
playing the game in Witcher. I was just talking to people.
No. So I will say that the Baron is my least favorite quest because it's all fetch quests and it's all annoying, but it's kind of teaching you, it's making you explore that region.
There was no drive. There was no carrot at the end of the stick that like, okay, if I did this, like I'm gonna get rewarded by like a good item or something. No, it wasn't. There was nothing there. It was just ugh.
That's the difference in The Witcher is that's not how it works. It's not like, okay, you brought this to me. Here, take this sword that's obviously better. Like it's not, you have to explore on your own. Like I always tell the story that I saw a random windmill and I just decided to go into it. There was no one there. I noticed the floorboards were loose. I was able to break them, and I went down, and there was just a hidden chest with a good weapon in it. Had nothing to do with anything.
See,
no
this
quest
is really
brought
funny
me
though,
there.
because the only game that reminds me of The Witcher, and it's a game I liked, and the game you hate is Red Dead Redemption. Like,
I hate Red Dead Redemption.
That world, and what you're saying is like that you just like went to this place and found something great. Like that's Red Dead in a nutshell.
Yeah, but Red Dead, I just didn't like Red Dead because it was just so slow and riding, and there was nothing to see on the way. I don't know. I hated Red Dead, but
I
yes,
hated Witcher, so and both of those won various Game of the Year awards. So
I mean, and that's how it is. I mean, like if you want to play The Witcher because you want to explore dungeons and find like loot, there are some, but it's more about just talking with people. And as weird as that is, you can spend hours not even fighting a single
not
person.
what I'm looking for.
Yeah, so
I can like it.
and yeah, and that is how it is. And the combat, people argue it's good, people argue it's bad. It's different. It's gonna take. You have to kind of get used to it or understand. It's not a hack and slash. You can't just hit the square button a bunch of times. It's not the way it works. But
I will always say that coming straight from Bloodborne into The Witcher probably also ruined it for me because I came from my favorite combat in a video game ever into a combat I didn't like. So.
yeah, and so it's. I understand. Steve is not wrong when he gives reasons for not liking it because again he played it. He can say that. Unlike me with Fallout, which I just know that's not a good game. But
Oh.
so
No.
Witcher is it. It is easily in my top 5 games of all time.
Never.
Yep.
Never. So, all right. Well, there's Steve and Neil's Steve Steele and Neil's
Yeah, I was
deals
gonna say.
for our 5 favorite game of the years, our top 5 for game of the year. But But the lists are not over.
No,
We have a bonus list called Most Anticipated 2016 Games. And this is a list that is interesting because there's only one game that's the same on both of ours. But I'm sure it's a game that's on many people's lists. So do you want to go first here, or should I?
No, I'll take it first this time.
Okay.
Are we still in the drum roll? Or is that over now?
No, this doesn't get a drum roll because this isn't an award. This is anticipation.
Okay, right. So, my first game, I guess this isn't in ranking order, but if so, is Tomb Raider. I love Tomb Raider. I love adventure-style games like that. This year, I know it came out this year for the Xbox. I refuse to ever play the Xbox. I'm not about to play PC for this either. And I know it's coming to the PS4 this year. It's not going to get delayed. It's pretty much a made game that they just, for exclusivity deals between companies, it's not coming out until this year. It's a game I know I'm going to love. Everyone who's playing it now says it's an amazing game. I mean, it's more Tomb Raider. If you like the first Tomb Raider, you'll like this. If you hated the first Tomb Raider, you're gonna hate this one. But I love the first Tomb Raider. I think it was in my top 5 last year, maybe, of just in general, like, my favorite games, or whenever it came out. So I can't wait for it. It's gonna be a day one purchase for me. I absolutely love the story. They say everything about the first game, every bad thing is better in this game. That they've like fixed everything. They've critiqued it. They've added more dungeons. They've made more of a story to it. It went from her being like a survival person on an island to like almost a real Tomb Raider, almost like hunting people.
Yeah,
because that's what Tomb Raiders do, I guess. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's can't wait for it. Yeah. So
it's funny that 2 your games are so similar. But my number 3. These are in order. Mine are in order.
Okay.
My number 3 is Uncharted, which is actually Neil's number 2.
Yeah,
so
we'll just talk about it together. Obviously, we love this game.
Yes, I love Uncharted. Uncharted 2 is probably my third favorite game of all time.
It is. I will say Uncharted 2 is perfect. If not,
it is perfect. That game is perfect.
So there are so few flaws to it, and they come down to simple things like, I don't know, like the enemy's intelligence or something like that. Like it's just a perfect game for at the time. Like that train sequence was revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
God, it is perfect. That game was perfect. And so Uncharted 4, I can't wait.
Uncharted 2 is awesome. Uncharted 3 was great, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. I went back and played it.
I think that coming off of Uncharted 2,
yeah,
I think that it was so hard to follow it. Uncharted 3 on its own is amazing and is better than most games, but it just didn't. I had such high expectations coming off of 2 and just how much I love that game. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was me with when we were talking about Majora's Mask. I played Ocarina of Time and I went right to Majora's Mask. But some people say that one's better. But I loved Ocarina of Time so much that I was
it's hard. It's hard to I understand.
Yeah, but going back and playing it later, like, no, this is a pretty good game. That's what I did with 3. When it came out, I bought it like day 1. And I was like, oh no, was it day 1? No, I think I won this game from Subway. I tend to win things from fast food companies.
You did. You won that game from Subway.
So I can't even. So like, I didn't get to play it until like a week after it came out or whatever. But I played it immediately. I was living with this one person called Douglas, obviously, that he always comes up on a podcast, and we had plans to go out that night. And instead, he drove me home because I live near my college, so I could pick up the game from the mail, and we drove back to our dorm, and we just played it all night instead.
It's a great game. It is.
I really enjoyed it. But it's not 2. But hopefully 4 will be 2, if not better.
I think that they'll do a good job of closing out the series and giving fans what they want. So
I think it is a game that needs that closure. That it's every game kind of ties into the one before, and they even make jokes about like past temples or whatever like that. And it can't be a game where they just kind of like, save the world again or whatever, stare off into the sunset and go, oh, what's next for their adventure? Like, they need closure to it, and I'm looking forward to that.
Closure.
That aside, all the gameplay demos look amazing.
They do.
Like
when you're dragged in the mud behind that Jeep.
Like that looks great. Just the multiplayer beta looks amazing. Just the single player action where like they're all like, I like how Uncharted has always done this and they've gotten better and better at doing it, where you will walk into basically a box with a bunch of obstacles and then a bunch of enemies to kill. And you can like run over to this corner and kill them. You can run over here. You can keep running around. And like in the first game, I remember it was very obvious. You'd have
Yeah.
like knee-high chest walls or whatever that you can hide behind, and it was kind of like very small. And by the third game, they were getting these crazy layouts. Like remember the shipyard where you were like swimming around this one boat and like there's
Yeah.
all these rafts and stuff. Like so, I can't wait for Uncharted 4 and what they're gonna throw at us.
It's gonna be a great game, and I'm obviously looking forward to it a lot. But my next two games are handheld games, and it's funny that all three games I'm listing, and maybe this is a consequence of just that you don't know what's coming out in the fall, but all these
Yeah.
games I'm listing are coming out by April, or by May rather, because one of them comes out in April, late April. My number two game is Bravely Second, and this is just based on the fact that Bravely Default was and is my favorite 3DS game, even over Animal Crossing, which I still play, but it's so good. And Neil, like, it's funny because Neil loves this game, but he plays it in like segments. And
Well, I keep getting distracted. So
yes,
I'm playing it now, and then I got distracted by Pokemon, where I beat Pokemon, which was long overdue too. And then I got Fire Emblem, so now I'm playing Fire Emblem. And so, but I keep going because it's such a huge game
it
that
is.
I'm taking my time with it. I'm really enjoying it. Every time I play it, I
so
love it.
good. It is so good. The Bravely Default is so awesome, and Bravely Second is out in Japan, and I hear nothing but amazing things of how they outdid the first one,
Oh,
and
wow.
they didn't screw up the ending like they did in the first one, and it's everything that you'd want in the second, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it and play it, and literally get my hands on it because it's handheld.
Drum
but
roll.
I need to play this game. I love Bravely Default so much, and Bravely Second is gonna blow my mind. I know it will. I have, and see what's nice is that my top two games on here are out in Japan, and they're both reportedly very good and better than their predecessor. So it's not like I'm going to be disappointed. I have word that these games are already good. I just have to wait to play them. But yeah, Bravely
And you,
Second is my number two.
and you don't even have to wait long for them either, which is even
No,
better.
no. Bravely Second comes out in March.
I thought maybe was Fire Emblem February.
Yes, that is February. And spoiler, that's my most anticipated. But we'll get to that.
Oh,
But yeah, while I looked that up, talk about your number one.
so my number one is a game that I've talked about a lot on this podcast as well because the demo came out. Is Final Fantasy 15. I think I've been waiting 8 years now for this game, maybe longer.
By the way, Bravely Second has been out in Japan since April 23rd.
Wow. I wonder it's localization for that scope of a game is massive.
So it's listed for Europe as February 26th, 2016, but the United States does not have a release date yet. But I think that's because Fire Emblem does not have a release date in Europe, but Fire Emblem comes in America around the same time. I think it's the week after that. So I think that they're trying to like split the two up. You know what I mean? So like
Maybe.
give one to Europe and one to America, then
Keep both countries happy.
release the other one. You know, so let me see. I'm gonna see what this release date is. Excuse me.
All right, we'll ask Steve looks that up.
That came out in June, and this in America comes out in
Drum roll.
February. But I know the exact dates out there. But keep talking.
So Final Fantasy 15, I think I've been waiting at least 8 years for this game. Probably longer. I think it's longer. I think the first, who knows. So this game, I love Final Fantasy. I get everyone. There's always ups and downs to them. People keep telling them to get back to the basics, which is what Bravely Second is. That's an old school Final Fantasy.
Yep.
And people keep telling them to get back to that. I'm not that way. I respect Square Enix for really changing it up. Like every game that comes out is so different. 10, skipping 11 because that was an MMO, which is also very different, to 12, two completely different games, and then going back 12 to 13, very different. And even there's 13 games, and all of them are insanely different too. 13, the first one is like originally kind of like a traditional game, And then the third one, I think it's called like 13-3. I don't even know. It's like an action one. It's just one character, and you can actually like get into fights and hit buttons to like have an action RPG. So they're totally different. 15 is like that as well, based off the demo. This is not just me seeing like cool trailers and stuff. This is me based off the demo. A demo that might take 40 minutes to beat, they have over 6 hours in because I just keep playing it. Even like today and yesterday, I went back just to play it, and I just keep messing around because the way they have the combat, I think, is really well done. You can just hold square to attack, and you can hold L1 to dodge. But if you hit L1 right as someone's attacking, you give yourself up for a counterattack. And if you hit square each time you're attacking, you can use a different weapon for a stronger hit. And you can do all these different combinations with very slight variations of how you attack the person. And just the way the character works, for brevity, I'll just say that like he uses different weapons, and it's like just a magic thing that he can pull them out of wherever he wants. So you can change around which strike you'll use with what weapon, and it changes how your guy fights. So if you have like a little short sword, he'll attack very quickly and very fast. So if you have like a quick like a lot of like dog or wolf creatures, you want to use that, or you can put so you can rearrange the way his weapon order basically, and he'll attack in different ways, and so you strategize that, and all that mixed with just how the game looks already and how cinematic it is, and they have like this like when the game they have these really like sweeping camera angles to everything, and they have these like cool characters that like in real time will interact with you. Like I was being attacked, I was being like grappled or whatever by some guy, and so the AI friend came over, released me, and then before we got back to fighting, we did like this quick like weird fist bump thing, and like so there's all these mini interactions, and like I was about to go attack someone, and my friend grabbed me, and he was just like, "No, let's go. Why don't we sneak attack them?" And it's just completely random when they do these things. It's not based off of any like scripted set point in the game, at least as far as I can tell in the demo. So this game may not come out in 2016. The only reason people think it is because there was an offhanded comment from the director that was like, "Oh no, we're not going to make you wait till 2017. This game will." That's like, and he just said that offhand, and he wasn't supposed to. So we don't really know. We don't know the release date. We know that in March they are going to make an announcement. So they made an announcement about an announcement coming up, and we have no clue what it's going to be. It could.
I love announcements of announcements.
It's. This was after, I forgot what convention, but it was a very disappointing convention. They talked for an hour about this game, and they didn't say anything. There was basically nothing said about it. And so people were very disappointed, so then they said they were going to make an announcement in March. I'm hoping, based off past releases of this game in the US, they always come out March, February. I'm really hoping. I think the last 3 or 4 games all came out in that time frame. I could be wrong. I should really look that up. But anyways, I'm really hoping that it's a surprise release date. I hope in March. I think this director is very friendly. He's very good at PR. I think he just wants to tell people when the release date is, and he's being held back from it. The company doesn't want him to say it yet. So I think he's just kind of saying, I will make an announcement in March. And I think that's almost, people are speculating that's him hinting at the release date, and he just can't technically say it yet.
Interesting.
So I really hope, like, when it comes March, he's going to make this announcement. He goes, and it's going to come to shelves in, like, 2 weeks. Like, I hope he says something like that. He may not.
Ridiculous.
If he does, that will be insane. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to be like, the game will come out, like, November or something. I think it's going to be a regular announcement like that. But he he mentioned 2016, and there's an announcement coming up. So it's looking good for 2016. So I'm really hoping to get this game. I'm hopefully in March, but probably not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. That would be bold for them to just say, hey.
It would be so for Square Enix to do something like that, but like, hey, by the way, next week you can pick this game up. That would be insane. I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be too massive of a game to ship without people knowing. Like, there's always someone at GameStop that's going to be like, hey, look what came in today, and like leak it. So we'll see when it gets closer. Maybe if there's a leaked image of a game, like March 1st or something, then we might know that it's going to be released in March. But too early to tell.
So, I mean, you're optimistic. That's for sure.
I'm optimistic. I just want this game. It's been years. I'm talking like, I think, I'm trying to think of the first trailer. Which, by the way, if you're a fan of the series or whatever, there are people that put all the trailers together, and you can see how this game has changed. When it was first coming out and they were releasing gameplay, there was some first person shooting elements into it. I have no idea why they were doing that, but it was possible.
They're weird. They're always weird.
They do weird things, like you could switch between the characters. They look different. They had different names even a little bit. I think one character's name switched. Like they did it, so it's just by a development standpoint, it's cool just to see that work. But
Yeah. So I mean, like we talked about my number one game a little bit, but just Fire Emblem Fates, which I have confirmed with my sources, comes out February 19th, so a little over a month. And it's just, the usual. I love Fire Emblem. It's one of my favorite games. And I need more Fire Emblem, is what it comes down to. It's such a fun game, and I think that it'll be interesting to see what they're doing with the two different storylines converging.
are you gonna get both?
I know that if you buy one, the other one's $20 if you download the campaign digitally, so I'll probably just do that. It's Conquest and Birthright. I don't know which one I'm going to get first, though. I have to look into that. But yeah, I'm probably just going to do that $20 download thing.
Well, I think it's partly it's story based, the decision. Like I know there's gonna be a lot of different missions and stuff like that, but I know you're like, probably trying to avoid the story, so I imagine
play two sides of the same war. That's what it is.
Right.
So it's you play the big thing that you want to do is that they both have different units that all do different things. You know what I mean? So that's like how the game's really going to change. Because at some point you'll be playing the same battles just from the different perspective. But
yeah, so like that alone is a super interesting premise of the way they're doing that, and I want to see how that works too. And I mean, I'm probably going to pick up this game as well because I'm playing the Fire Emblem right now, and I'm really enjoying it. And I know that I'll probably just go out and get it. But for me, I wonder if I want to get this right. So you can buy either game physically, and then you're stuck with that version.
Yes.
Or you can play it. You can download it, and when you get to that decision, you then switch. You then choose which way you want to go, and that's the game you get.
Yes, there's that one, or you can buy it physically and then get the other campaign for $20 digitally.
Okay. See, so I would almost you might look up units and figure out who you want to fight with. I know that I play games narratively. I wonder if I would even just see where the story's going and then make that decision because I actually like these people just story-wise or whatever. And so, I don't know, it would be cool to see. I'm looking forward to how this game plays out.
Yeah, and it's good that you're getting it because there's actually online versus multiplayer, which would be fun to play because it's just like chess, essentially.
Yeah,
so,
that'd be cool.
That'd be cool to check out. So, yeah, Fire Emblem Fates, my number one game of 2016, and Neil wants Final Fantasy 15, a real Japanese spin to our number one games here. So
yeah, I mean, it just shows I got to beat Bravely Default and the first Fire Emblem by February or whatever.
Well, you should play Fire Emblem first because that one comes out first. Bravely Default probably comes out in April. So
hey man, at least I got one crystal saved or whatever.
You've saved the crystal.
I think I have, if that's what it is.
When
the wind, it's like the wind. The wind was gone.
Airy.
Sure, yeah, because all the people.
Don't forget, that game actually has a big twist in it, which I actually think that you'll enjoy. But I never remember it. Not like a big twist, but the story isn't as straightforward as it seems, which is fun.
Yeah, I mean,
actually, it's not a twist at all because at some point they start telling you the other side of it, and then but the moment that the two stories converge is really satisfying.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I don't know why. We say this all the time. I really like that game. I don't know why I'm not playing it right now.
Yeah.
I should be.
Yeah. So that's those are our lists. We just want to talk briefly because this is actually getting kind of long. What are we at? An hour and a half now.
Actually, you were 1 minute off. Yeah.
Wow. It's getting kind of long, but we want to talk briefly about what we've been playing. But we're not going to talk about what we've been playing since we, had our last podcast. We're just going to say right now
the main one we're playing
is Rainbow Six Siege, which is a fantastic game in every way. And what do you want to say, Neil?
I don't want to talk long about it because everyone knows, but like I was saying, me and Steve weren't playing that many video games together for a while, and like I mean, Call of Duty kind of brought us back, but this is a game that we are now asking each other like almost every night, like, hey man, you want to play this tonight at all? And to the point where we may stream this at some point. I don't want to throw promises out there at any point, but it's a game that we both tend to sit down and play a lot together, and we're having just a ton of fun with it. Even though people are horrible at it now and just like kill your own teammates and log out of the game and all that wonderful stuff. Which, I think if we play ranked match, that won't happen.
No, we should do that.
Because if you log out, then you can't play, so people would never just kill team for fun and log out, because then they just have to wait, and they can't wait. They're impatient. So, yeah. You got anything to say about it?
I'm sure everyone who's interested in it has played it, because it's been out a month already, but
yeah.
It's awesome. I love it, and it's like one of those. It's one of those games where it's just like, okay, another match, okay, another one, another. You know what I mean? So it's fun. It's awesome.
Yeah. Even last night, like I wasn't doing well at all. People kept team killing me. I was trying to time up like my breaches, so like we'd all go in together, and they would all just huddle around the same door. So one guy would throw C4 out and kill them all. Like,
yeah,
they were just doing all this stupid stuff, and like I wasn't having fun, but I kept being like, all right, one more try. I mean, every now and then you get like a good run. Like I was one guy and was able to take out the entire team. So like I was like, okay, I'm getting the rhythm again. Let's go one more match. And like so it does. It kind of spurs you on because it's quick. It's just like it's like nothing, and then one quick highlight of like a battle, and then it's the next one.
Yep.
So it's not like
come back.
Yeah, because like Call of Duty, I mean, like you're in a battle and it's like 10 minutes of constant action.
Yep.
This is like a 2-minute pause, 30 seconds of action, and then
suspense.
Start it again.
Suspense. Yeah.
Oh, like sitting in that room waiting to see where they're going to attack from is terrifying.
Yep. So, and just like communicating is fun. So.
Yeah, when we actually use teamwork in this game, unlike any other game.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's our Game of the Year podcast for 2015. A little late, we know. We're about a week into 2016 already, but I mean, you've been waiting months for this podcast, so a week is fine. So, I mean, like moving forward, we might be able to get together and get some more content out. Maybe we could look into doing a shorter podcast, like maybe try and keep it to 30 minutes, if maybe that would be better.
I mean, there's some stuff we can knock off out of here. We don't have to tell you about the games releasing every week. You know what's coming out.
Yeah. So we'll look into that, especially like, if you guys, obviously I haven't done this in forever, so let me try and remember all this. If you guys want to email us at qualifiedgamerguys@gmail.com, let us know, if you see this and you want us to continue. Or you can follow us on Twitter at QualifiedGGS or on Twitch at Qualified Gamer Guys if we happen to be streaming something, which, I mean, there's no reason that, like, we need to do that. Like, we play games together, we just don't hit the stream button. Like,
there was a time when we weren't playing games together and we were like, all right, we should sit down and stream something tonight. But now that we're just playing games again,
just hit the button.
Yeah, that's how this whole thing started. We were just playing games. We're like, why don't we just stream this?
We'll hit the button. So if you follow us, you'll see some streams.
Hashtag hit that button.
Hit the button. Hashtag Qualified Gamer Guys. Hashtag hit that button. So yeah, and then other than that, you got our YouTube. You can look there at our past videos if we haven't anything recently, but enjoy it. Comment, guys, if you watch this. We'd love to see that you guys came back after all this time and that you missed us, because we missed you. So yeah, I mean, Neil, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Look forward to the Dying Light expansion in February.
Exactly. This time last year we were making fun of Dying Light. All right, so why don't we wrap a bow on this and put it under the tree?
Oh, I like it.
So thanks for joining us for the 2015 Game of the Year podcast for the Qualified Gamer Guys, the KGGS Awards. You can hashtag that, put it out. Let us know what you think, if you disagree, if you agree, if you played anything in these last couple months. If you want to ask us questions about these last couple months of what we've been doing, or if you want like a game suggestion, just email us, qualifiedgamerguys@gmail.com. Thanks, as always, to Gearhead EDM for our theme song. You can check them out at SoundCloud /GearheadEDM. And I mean, I think that's it. So until next time, chaps.